welcome. My name is Alice and I run Alice Through the Year, which is a seasonal cookery school, and I run that from my lovely kitchen in the Cotswolds. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a delicious summer drink, Elderflower Cordial. Elderflowers are in season from between May and June, and you can find them in the hedgerows, in the countryside, down country lanes or by the sides of fields, and they're in abundance at the moment, and they are free and they make the most delicious elderflower cordial. There's lots of different things you can make with elderflower, but I'm going to show you this really simple elderflower cordial recipe today. So the first thing we need are our ingredients, and we've got a lot of sugar here. We've got 1.2 kilos of sugar, and I'm using granulated today. Now it might seem like a lot of sugar, but this makes about 4 bottles, so don't worry. The sugar is not only an important ingredient because it adds the sweetness, but it also acts as a preservative, and because we want to keep this cordial in a cupboard for a couple of months, it's important to have a fair bit of sugar in there. Then we're going to be using 1 lemon. You could use a lime or an orange or any other citrus fruit. That lemon not only gives this bit of acidity, but also gives a lovely sort of oily blend because we're going to be using that skin. We then need 40 grams of citric acid, and citric acid is a really important part of the elderflower process because it gives that acidity that we need to cut through the sweetness of the sugar. We then need 1 litre of water and our elderflowers, of course, our beautiful elderflowers, and I've picked about 20 heads here, but between 15 to 25 will be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's get going. It's a very simple process. The first thing we need to do is make a stock syrup, which is basically sugar dissolved in water. So I'm going to be using a big cast iron pan here, but any sort of big pan that will hold the volume of water and sugar will do the trick. And in we go with our water. That's 1 litre of water. And then we need to add in our sugar. So 1.2 kilos of sugar. And as I said, I'm using granulated, but you could use caster sugar as well. I'm going to give it a quick stir. And then we're just going to pop it on a medium to high heat, and we want it to dissolve. Now, before I pop it on the heat, you can see that it's quite cloudy, obviously, because the sugar's not dissolved in. And we want this to be completely clear and dissolved. And once it's clear, that's when you know that it's done. Making a stock syrup is very, very easy. It's not like making a caramel or complicated sugar work, because there's so much water in there. It's going to be able to, stabilise and make a sort of very simple sugar syrup. It's not, we don't need to use a thermometer or anything like that. It's very, very simple. Just give it a stir on a medium heat, and once it's nice and clear and all the grittiness and graininess from the sugar has dissolved, then you know it's done and it's good to go. So I'm going to give that just a quick stir, and then I will leave it while we prepare the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to be making 4 bottles today, and one thing that's really important to do is to sterilise your bottle. And all you want to do is fill up your clean bottle, whatever you're using, with boiling water. So you want to fill it right up to the top and then pop the lid back on. And I'm going to grab my boiling water now. Now it does make 4 bottles, but I'm just going to show you how to do the one here today. I'm going to grab my boiled water, and you want to make sure that it's freshly boiled, and you want to fill it up right to the top. Now this process is called sterilising, and this is the same process that you would do if you were making sterilising jam jars or sterilising a wine bottle to make elderflower champagne or elderflower wine. And it's a really important thing to do, and the reason we're sterilising this is because we want to make sure that the bottle is completely clean. If we were just to sort of stick it in a bottle that we'd rinsed out, it might have some sort of yeast or anything, any sort of natural spores in the bottle. But using that freshly boiled water will mean that we're keeping this really nice and clean. So we're going to pop that to one side now. And as I said, this makes 4 bottles, so you can fill those 4 bottles up. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is prepare our lemon, and this is very, very easy. But what we need to do is actually peel the lemon with a potato peeler. And the reason we are using a potato peeler is because we want to get off that zest. We don't just want to use the lemon in slices, but we want to make sure that we've got the lovely zest as well. So I'm going to peel this off now. And the thing with using the peel is that it's full of natural, delicious, lemony oil, natural citrus oil that is in the skin, and you get much more oil obviously from the skin. You don't get any oil from the juice itself. The juice adds a sort of acidic note, but the oils from that peel give it a lovely aromatic flavour in the cordial itself. So it's really important to use that skin as well as we'll be using the juice as well. And on the whole, if I'm cooking anything and I want to add a sort of citrus note to it, I will use the peel rather than the juice, because the juice is so acidic that it can sometimes be a bit overpowering in a creamy fish sauce or a creamy pasta sauce. So actually just zesting over the peel is much, much nicer. It gives a much more sort of aromatic flavour to your dish. Okay, so that's our peel. We're going to pop it to one side, and I'm going to grab a knife and I'm just going to cut this into little circles. Before I do that, I'm just going to give my cordial, our sugar syrup, a quick stir, and I can see that already it's starting to become a bit clearer. So a nice stir. Make sure that if you've got any bits of sugar on the side, that you just bring them down into the liquid. Okay, give that a nice stir together, and then we can crack on with preparing our lemon. Okie dokie. So, when you're peeling something round, a quick top tip is just to take a little bit off the bottom, and so you've got a flat surface on which to cut your slices from. And we'll use that little bit there, that won't go to waste. So you could use any citrus you like in this. As I said, you could experiment, you could do some limes, you could do some grapefruit, some orange, anything would work really. And of course, when you're making something yourself, you can really alter the amount that you use. You could put a bit more lemon in, or you could try adding, a combination of grapefruit and lime. So yeah, it's a really nice way to experiment and make it your own cordial, your own unique blend. So we've got our lemon there, and we're going to add both the lemon slices and the peel into our stock syrup. I'm just going to quickly talk about citric acid. So citric acid is really important, as I said earlier, as it cuts through that sugary sweetness that you get from the cordial. Now, you could just use lemon juice, but you have to use so much lemon juice in order to cut through that sugariness that actually ends up tasting like lemon cordial instead of delicious elderflower cordial. So I always would recommend using citric acid, as citric acid doesn't have any particular flavour, it's just that acidity that we want. Now, you can't necessarily buy this from the supermarket, but you could buy it from your ironmonger, and it's often used as a cleaning product, and it's a great cleaning product to use because it's a natural product. It's comes from citrus, hence citric acid, and so it's a great thing to use if you're trying to do green cleaning. You could descale your kettle with this, you could descale your taps, your shower head, literally anything. It's a fantastic product to have in your store cupboard to use, and it's actually the coating of a lot of sort of sour sweets that you buy in the shop as well. So if you like a bit of sour, then dip your finger into that. Be cautious with it, as it is very, very sour. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to prepare my elderflowers. Now, it's really important that when you pick your elderflowers, not to wash them. I know it can be tempting because you think that there are little bugs and insects on there and it's been outside, and you might not necessarily want to have those incorporated into your beautiful cordial, but it's really important that you that you don't wash them, because if you wash them you'll get all that lovely pollen that we want. You'll wash that off, so it's important not to wash them. What we're going to do is we're just going to snip off the heads away from the stalk. So you can see that we've got the stalky bit here where it was obviously attached to the branch, and then you've got another bit of stalk here, and we want to take those off. So we want to take all the heads off so that you're just left with a little head like that. Okay. So Elderflower Cordial can be used in lots of different things. It doesn't have to just be used as a drink, or added to your Prosecco or sparkling wine. You can use it to drizzle over sponge cakes, or to use in a dressing. It works really well in a salad dressing. You can replace it for honey, or if you're using sugar in a salad dressing, yeah, pop some cordial in and that would be delicious. So it's a really sort of versatile thing to use. It's a great thing to just sort of have on the side and then pop into your dishes, whatever you're making, and be creative and get a lovely sort of floral note as well as that sweetness. So I'm just trimming off these heads. Now we are going to strain this off, so don't worry if you have got a few little bugs etc getting in there, don't worry about them, because we will strain this off with our stock syrup once we've had it marinating or infusing in our stock syrup. So we're going to pass it through a muslin or a tea towel. So the best time to pick elderflowers is in the early morning before it's had direct sunlight on it. So I went out this morning and picked these at about 7 o'clock, and they are lovely and fresh. Some of the flowers have just come open, so they're heady with the pollen and the nectar, which is exactly what we want for our cordial. But you can of course pick them in the afternoon as well, whenever you've got time. The only thing that you don't want to do is pick them after it's rained, because the rain obviously washes off that pollen. So we want to make sure that yes, you don't pick them after a heavy downpour. Just wait a couple of days and then go and pick them. Now, if you've had a successful mission picking your elderflowers and you come back home and you've got lots and lots of beautiful heads, you've got too many heads to use for your cordial, then you can freeze them, and the heads freeze very well. All you want to do is you want to do this stage here where we're trimming off, and then you want to pop them in a freezer bag. You don't need to blanch them, you don't need to do anything to them but trim them down. And then when you are ready to make your cordial, all you do is take them out of the freezer. You make your stock syrup and then you take them out of the freezer. You don't defrost them, you don't do anything to them, you just literally plunge them in frozen into the stock syrup. And the reason we don't defrost them is because if we did, it would go a sort of browny colour, and otherwise it won't affect the taste at all, it just won't look as appetising. And the reason we're taking off these little stalks is because that can also make the syrup go a bit brown. So it's really important to follow this step. So we're nearly done with these, and I can hear that my lovely stock syrup is starting to come to a boil, and it will almost be ready to go. The only problem with making cordial is that you have to leave it to infuse, which is very frustrating when you can smell its beautiful aroma, and you want to get stuck in straight away. But you do have to just wait for it to infuse for about 12 to 24 hours. And the longer you leave it, the more stronger flavour that you'll get. I would suggest that you don't do any more than 24 hours, because then it starts to get a slightly stewed, florally note. And the other tempting thing to do is to add lots and lots of elderflower heads to your lovely syrup, more than 20, but the problem with doing that is that you can then get again a very floral note, and I've learnt that to my own downfall, where I've just put loads and loads of elderflowers in, double, triple the amount, and actually it's tasted too elderflowery and too floral. So do be sort of cautious with it, and if you've got any left over, as I said, they freeze brilliant. Stock syrup is boiling away and it's ready to come off the heat. Now it's gone lovely and clear, and but if it does go a little bit cloudy once it comes to the boil, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it, as long as it's a nice sort of vigorous boil. And I'm getting a facial steam with it as well. So in goes our elderflowers, straight in, dunk them in. And as soon as the elderflowers hit that sugar syrup, you will get a waft of beautiful elderflowery aroma. I'm just going to poke them down into the mixture. It smells so good. And then we're going to add in our citric acid and the lemon slices and also the lemon peel. And that is it. It is so easy to make. All we need to do now is just leave it to rest for 12 to 24 hours. Don't be tempted to try and drink it earlier, well you can do, but it just won't be as elderflowery and delicious. But it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to show you now. And it smells incredible. We've got lots of lovely lemon notes as well coming through. But you can see that that is absolutely packed with flavour and aromas, and it's going to be delicious. So I'm going to show you now what to do when you are ready to bottle up. And it's a very simple process. All you need is a couple of bits of equipment. So when you're ready, all you need is a big bowl like this, something that's going to hold the full volume of your cordial. And then you want to pop in a colander or a sieve into your bowl. And the reason we're doing this is because when we pour this all in, we want to make sure that we're catching all the elderflower heads. And we are going to put another layer of protection in the form of a tea towel or a muslin. And all you do is you just simply pour in all of your liquid, the heads, the slice, the lemon peel, everything goes in here. And then you bring up the sides and you squeeze out all your beautiful elderflower cordial. And what you're left with in your bowl is what you want to bottle up. So you pour away the water that's sterilised your jars, and then using a funnel or using a jug, you simply pour the elderflower into your bottles, and they will keep for about 4 to 6 months in a dark store cupboard. If you want to add a little bit extra protection, you can pasteurise them. And to pasteurise them, all you do is you pop them in a pan of boiling water, make sure that it's a tall pan that will fill, cover up right to the top of your sides, and you just boil them for about 4 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes or so, and then they will be pasteurised and they will keep for longer. They would have killed off all the natural yeast that is in our elderflower. So I hope you've enjoyed learning how to make this delicious summer drink, Elderflower Cordial, and it's been lovely to have you today. And do give a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this video, and of course you can subscribe to my channel to get more delicious seasonal recipes. Thank you for joining me.